What is happening, fellas? On today's video we're going to continue our testing on the Coleman BT200X. We've already did the stage 1 with the jet, air filter and exhaust testing to show you guys just how much over stock it's going to improve. So now today we're going to be testing removing the governor. We're going to go do our top speed run and the hill climb again. You'll see just how much of an improvement removing the governor and putting those 18-pound valve springs makes in one of these small mini bikes. Make sure to check out the links under the video in the description below where you can find every part and how-to videos for a lot of stuff on these little mini bikes. So without further ado, let's pull this engine, get the governor removed, and see what kind of performance it makes. First, we need to remove the CVT cover and pull the master link from the chain. Next, unhook the throttle cable. Unplug the kill switch and headlight connector. There are 5 bolts holding the engine on the bike. So quick little side note, the bolt was not in the clutch. So we'll definitely be replacing that with some blue Loctite to hold it in there and a lock washer. So make sure to check out these bikes. When they assemble them in Walmart and stuff, they barely put anything, tighten anything on these. So always make sure to check over every bolt on these mini bikes if you buy it assembled. So we're going to pull this clip out of the chain link. We can remove this whole jack shaft setup. Pull off the jack shaft assembly and remove the muffler and drain the oil. Block off the fuel line and remove the gas tank. To make the governor removal easier, remove the fan shroud, coil, and flywheel. Remove the side cover. This is a good time to do a good clean out of the leftover grime in the block. Cut the top portion off of the governor arm to remove it easier. Make sure to remove all the washers behind the governor parts. Take a punch and a hammer and tap the governor gear out of the block. Use a 1-inch long 1/4-inch bolt to block off the governor holes in the block. Install the side cover back on and tighten the bolts to 17 foot-pounds. Slide the flywheel on and torque to 54 foot-pounds. I use a homemade crankshaft stop when torquing the flywheel. Remove the throttle arm, springs, and assembly. Now we can install the coil back on and set the gap to 35 thousandths. Place a feeler gauge in between the coil and the magnet and tighten down. Now we can reinstall the fan shroud and jack shaft. I'm going to install a top plate from Go Power Sports for our throttle. How-to videos on specific parts are linked in the video's description. Now we need to install our 18-pound valve springs. Remove the rockers and lash cap. I'm using the air line to hold my valves up while swapping the springs. You can use a piece of string, but this air kit works much better. Push the spring retainers down and to the side to take out. Install the new 18-pound springs and reinstall the spring retainers. Now we can adjust the valve lash with an 8 thousandths and 6 thousandths feeler gauge. We want to recheck when the engine is at temperature. Make sure when setting the valve lash that the compression release isn't on. When you spin the engine around, you'll notice the exhaust valve opens, then the intake, and after the intake closes, the exhaust will crack open a small amount. This is the compression release and it makes starting the engine easier. Spin the engine around until it's completely closed.
Alright, so the engine is, governor has been removed and whatnot. We put a throttle plate on there. And the throttle plates, you have to put a little dab of some hot glue right there. So what I do is I get a feeler gauge and I slide under there so hot glue, oh my gosh, so hot glue won't get on the throttle arm, and that just keeps the arm from being able to lift up out of there. It's worked great in the past. So now I was going to originally leave the gas tank, but I don't have any of the small throttle brackets that allow you to leave the gas tank. So what we're going to do is Go Power Sports make some cylinder style gas tanks. I'm going to put one on the top of the frame. It'll look pretty cool. It's not a ton of gas, but you know, we'll make do with it. So then we can slap this, and I did put synthetic oil in this. You definitely want to eventually get a billet flywheel. These flywheels are not made to rev to, you know, this engine is probably going to rev around 6,000 RPMs now. That's dangerous on a stock flywheel because it can shatter, and this fan shroud is not going to protect anything. you're gonna die. All right, so Go Power Sports has these oil catch cans. I'm gonna run this to the valve cover, and I am gonna put a clear valve cover. I'm just waiting on some to come in the mail. I'm gonna mount this just right here on the frame with some hose clamps. Oh yeah. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is hook up the throttle. This is the original throttle cable. It used to go in from the side on that throttle mechanism, kind of like that. So what we need to do is cut this housing off, and then we got to slide the cap on and this little ferrule. Basically, this is a compression fitting. When you tighten it down, that ferrule is going to bite into the outside housing of this throttle cable and hold it in place from sliding out. Then the cable can go and hook to the little pivot point with this little adapter. So we're going to go ahead and cut this with the cutting disc and slide off this outside housing. Alrighty. Now I'm going to have to trim a little rubber back, this rubber housing. So it's got two layers here, a rubber outside housing to keep water out of it, and then it's got a metal housing inside there. It looks like a little coil. Now we can slide on the cap like so. Slide on this little ferrule like so. Slide that through. Now once we tighten this down, that ferrule will bend and bite into that housing. You're going to push the cable in far as you can, and then use a 7/16 and tighten this little fitting up. So I didn't tighten this up first, but we can do that. Now that cable housing will not come out of there, and we can basically trim this. So this is going to slide onto this, and then it has a little mouth that'll grab on. You put a little pin in there, and when you pull the throttle, it's going to pull it. In return, turning the butterfly of the carb. I normally like to solder the ends of my cable to keep it from, flaring out on me, but didn't really feel like it on this one. Okay, so we have the cable slid in that. There's a tiny little Allen right there, and I find it easy to use a little star bit on it than a small Allen. I can't find an Allen that fits that thing. They're either too big or too small in every set I have. Pull the cable in there and use this star bit to crank it down. Now we can test our throttle. That's a perfect amount of throttle. I could have went one notch up and you would have more twist to it, but I like it just like that. So Go Power Sports sells these, and they're in the center, but on this bike it's tilted back. So I sent it with my brother, and he drilled a hole, put a block of aluminum, I drilled and tapped it, and now I have a 3/16 barb. So we're just going to block this off, and then we can just run a fuel line to a fuel filter, and then we can go do the testing on this bike. And I'm waiting on a clear valve cover from Go Power Sports so I can run the valve cover to the barb on the oil catch can. These stock valve covers just have a press in hose, and it never stays in. It's garbage. So I like to use the clear ones because they look awesome, and it gives you a proper 1/4 inch barb that'll run right to that oil catch can. Alright, so the governor has been removed on the Coleman bike. We put the top plate, 18-pound valve springs, and all the goodies. Lonnie's about to do the top speed run. What do you think it'll do?
I'm gonna go with 40.
I'm gonna go with 36, because it felt like
I went with a flat number. I feel like you're cheating.
It felt like I rode it around the yard. Feels like it still tops out quick. Did you not feel it?
It didn't top out with me going down the driveway.
I'm gonna give it a hoonski. We didn't get our clear valve cover in yet, so the catch can's not hooked up to nothing, and the valve cover's not hooked up to nothing. You don't want to idle after a full hoon.
Dude, you caught like 3 feet of air.
Sweet. Alright, so let's go put the bird in there. Get some sick shots.
Alright, top speed. Here it comes, take one. That felt a lot faster, and I let off the throttle a couple times. 21 miles an hour.
With the governor removed, we gained 12 miles per hour on our top speed. We hit our top speed in 10.26 seconds. On the hill climb, we averaged 21 miles per hour and got to the top of that hill in 14.1 seconds. Overall, the governor removal is one of the best performance mods you can do on a mini bike. If you liked today's video, make sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification. Check the links below the video for all the parts used in this build, and thank you guys for watching, and God bless.